Well, hello, 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 hello. We are in our morning manna, and I greet you today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We are striving to make the Word of God reachable and relevant for you wherever you are so that you can achieve and actualize what God has called you to be and do in 21st century living out your calling and your purposes with full assuredness and confidence. Hopefully, today's um, purpose talk will be relatively short. I want to talk to you a little bit about performing your calling, doing what you feel led to do right now. A lot of times we go, I'm not ready. I don't have the training. I don't have my book closed. I don't have the skills. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections. And we can get focused on the things that we don't have. And as I have been doing in these talks, I want to go to the Word of God in order to help to shore us up that we might be able to continue and go forth and do the things that we're called to do. Now, I want to start in, I believe it's Mark the 12th chapter. Mark the 12th chapter at about the 41st verse. It says, and Jesus sat over against the treasury, and behold, how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto his disciples and said unto them, verily I say unto you that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Now, some would take that text and misinterpret it and have you giving everything that you have financially to some cause or to some ministry or what have you. But what God was striving to do in this context, what Jesus was teaching us is that we are to be willing to give out of a sense of need and urgency, and be willing to share what we have, be willing to bring to bear those things that are in us, to the point where it may not always be comfortable in the doing of it. So what this story tells us is that you had some people who were financially giving out of their abundance. They might have had $200 and they gave $50. And for some, that seemed like a lot of money. But for others, the giving of that was nothing because they had a constant flow. So they didn't, quote unquote, give to the point of hurt. Now, the widow had hardly anything, and she gave out of her lack. She gave to the point where she felt what she was giving. A parallel story that gives you this principle also is in 2 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, where Paul is talking to the Corinthian church and is relating a story of who has helped him in ministry financially, who has given to him. And he says to the church in this letter, he says, I'm not asking that you give that what you don't have. He says, I'm asking that you, number one, have a willing mind, and number two, that you perform out of that willing mind and you give out of what you have. So if you don't have $1, you can't give $1. I don't think you should try to run up your credit cards to give if we're talking finances. But this isn't a financial talk. We're looking at the parallel principle of you allowing your gifts, talents, and abilities to come to bear right now, with the skill set that you possess right now, with the knowledge that you possess right now, with the people that you are connected to right now, in the house that you live in right now, and the city that you live in right now, with the fears that you have, the mindsets that you have, the weaknesses that you have, the hangups that you have. Everything about you is fine. You need to find it in you to start giving out of that which you have. I'm not talking money. I have to keep saying this. I am speaking, although there is a financial teaching in that, but I'm not teaching finances. These are purpose talks. These are talks to help you to understand that you are enough and sufficient right now. Right now. There are people who don't know what you know. There are people who haven't overcome the struggles that you've overcome. There are people out there that even with what you look at and you don't think it's anything, people would love for you to teach them how you got that little bit that you have. Just that little bit that you have. So whatever you are called to do, wherever you see yourself down the road, don't look so far down the road that you fail to understand what your capacity is to give right now. So again, what are your reasons for delaying stepping out there? What are the things that you are lacking, that you either really are lacking or you believe you are lacking? We're not going to attempt today to validate that you need those things. Yes, there'll be lots of places where you need specific training, where you need specific resources, where you need all sorts of things. But today, what are you saying that you need? And in that need, are you allowing it to keep you from taking any steps? And if the answer is that you are allowing your perceived lack, perceived deficiency, perceived weaknesses to keep you from moving forward, I want to encourage you to find a way to go ahead and be like that widow and give out of your lack. But then on the same hand, be like the person that Paul is encouraging to give out of what you have. So you see it as lack, but you have it. You have something. Give out of that. That's all I'm saying. Real simple today and real short. So again, the text that I used for this discussion was 2 Corinthians 8, and also Mark, the 12th chapter, the 41st through the 44th verse. These are purpose talks, and they are designed to help you to walk in your calling, to live out your purposes. They're intended to encourage you to move forward and give you a few practical tips that when you apply them, you will begin to take the steps necessary or take more steps towards achieving the vision that God has given you for your life. Listen, I love you. I'm encouraged that you are doing great things, that God is working in you, that it does not yet appear everything that is going to come to pass, so long as you are walking it out